Hey, everybody, welcome. Happy hump day. Happy Wednesday. My name is Jon Kovach Jr., president of Amplified Minds and founder of the Champion Circle. Hey, I got a question to somebody the other day, and I got reminded of it this morning. So, do you guys know what RBF is? RBF, resting bitch face, right? RBF is that face you get when you're just like relax your face muscles and you look either really sad, really pissed off, or just really mad, right? And a lot of us get it when we're not focusing on what's in front of us and we're just focusing on something else. It's in our mind, it's in our pet energy, it's in our passions. And somebody reminded me yesterday as they were asking, they're like, Jon, you've been going live every day for what, 7 weeks now? Do you even enjoy it? And the truth is I absolutely love it. But there's a few steps I take when I'm getting into the live that I don't really appreciate and they don't really like. And I would love for someone else to do it. But as I'm doing it, my face goes into focus on getting this so that I can jump in the live. And then it's like, turn on the happy face, right? And so anyways, somebody asked me yesterday, it's like, do you even like doing these? And I said, yes, absolutely. I love them. In fact, they get me up in the mornings because I know what it does for me at the end of the day. And it's pretty awesome. So I wanted to share that just right off the bat. So I wanted to make sure I started today's video with a smile, and just so that you know that I really do enjoy these, and I do enjoy providing the content that we talk about. Yesterday was insane, you guys. If you missed out on yesterday's video, go back and watch that. But yesterday we had 2 hours worth of discussions talking about the different resources, the different resources and the different things that you can use to improve your connections as you are searching for opportunities to connect with more people. And we talked about doing several things. I have a few collaborations that came out of that call that are going to be coming up very, very soon. And by the way, it is allergy season. So if you see me crinkle my nose or do one of these, or I go sneezing for a second, then just know that we're all in this allergy season together. So as I continue to talk today, I really want to cover the topics of the different activities that will turn your connections into prosperous partnerships. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because a lot of us are stuck in an archaic system of going through the motions and building relationships. And I had an awesome conversation on Facebook yesterday and today with a friend who commented on one of my posts and said that, coaches and speakers and a lot of people are still using archaic, old-fashioned, old-school ways to communicate and to create relationships with people and to follow up. And there is so much fortune in the follow-up. I don't want to come across as that is not an important thing. But because there are some things out there that you can do differently to build relationships, I want to share my ideas with you. I want to brainstorm with these ideas with you. And if we have time, I'd like to bring somebody up on the screen and we can walk through your current networking strategy, and I can show you what you could be doing differently. I'm confident in our methodologies. I'm confident in what we do. And I know that if you and I had just like a few minutes together, that we'd be able to create some awesome stuff. If there is more time, I'll take the laptop over to the whiteboard and we'll have some whiteboard sessions together too. But I wanted to share with you just some of my thoughts as we get into this. So as we do jump in, I'm going to take just a second to share this over to a Facebook group and so forth. But please say hello, compliment my blue shirt. Yes, my blue shirt is one of my favorite shirts. Actually, maybe you guys can relate, but I looked at my closet this morning and I guess I was feeling like retail envy. Like I wanted to go and just like replace my entire wardrobe. I was like, I'm tired of the old stuff and I actually want to do something different. Like I want to do something that actually matters, that looks good, that I actually get passionate, because I get so passionate to get up and get things going in my day, to work on various activities, to work on my health, to work on my fitness, to work on my spirituality, all of that I get so excited to do. But I'm not excited to put clothes on. And now that's a little weird because it's like, well, okay, let's not talk about the nude. But what I'm talking about is I don't really look forward to putting on all the clothes that I own. And that must be something that a lot of men and women, especially women, have a connection with. As there's so many things in our closets, but yet not one thing, makes us excited. And today, I, for the first time in a long time, had that feeling, right? I just felt like everything in front of me was not the option of what was going to make me feel like an all-star. But I chose my favorite blue shirt, and I am grateful for it, and I'm grateful for clothes on my back and a roof over my head. So as we're just jumping in, jump into the comments section, say hello, say hi. Let me give you guys a little bit of background on what has been going on this week. So this week we have been doing a lot of stuff. On Monday, we talked about turning your connections into raving fans and loyal customers. If you missed that, you can go back and replay that. I'm also on YouTube. So if you want to go and watch these on YouTube, go ahead. We're also broadcasting from the Amplified Minds channel as well. Yesterday, we talked about the tools and resources for connecting. And again, Taylor Douglas joined me up on the call, and she walked through what your profile should look like that makes you easier to connect with. That's some information that's absolute pure gold. You're going to want to jump in and review that. I also got to chat with Matt Gibbons with YPC, and we talked a little bit about that tool and a little bit about what you need right now to be doing to connect with people. I also, if you go searching through the comment section, you're going to see some really cool conversations I had with some friends of mine who were telling us other tactics and other things you can use when you're reaching out. And so there's just so much value and so much gold. By the way, a side note here, we've just launched a company. One of my companies that I own is Content Caddy. We are a virtual assistant business based in the Philippines. We are worldwide, but I'm focusing my branches in the Philippines. And what we provide is for content creators, the ability to transcribe your videos and turn them into ebooks, so that you can put out free content and then give away downloadable content and drive forcible and impressive information to your audiences. I was also looking into a few other things that we do, but we strictly provide that service of turning your videos into content reproducible material that can go on your blogs, that can go on your SEO, that can go out for distribution in the form of ebooks. They can also be uploaded to Amazon's it just slipped my mind. What is it called? Anyways, where you will get your ebooks. Wow, I can't believe I forgot that one. Anyways, we will upload it for you. We'll also put it on your social media. That'll create the campaign for it, and a few other things too. We also do video editing and so forth. So we'll take your videos that you're producing and provide you some background. So pretty cool stuff. A few other announcements and things that are coming up and things that we'll talk about at the end of the call or at the end of the show today is that we'll be tomorrow on Thursday, I'll be giving another live webinar. I'm actually going to be postponing our speech, the 3 secrets to turning connections into money, but I do want to talk about those secrets and I want to jump on here live. So expect me tomorrow, and I'm looking for opportunities to interview and chat with people next week. So, with all of the interviews that we do on this show, I build a partnership and a relationship with. So just know that there's nothing to it more than just us building and deepening and strengthening our relationship as a professional. And if you are interested in coming on the show and talking about your expertise, your knowledge, and what you can share with everyone else, I'm happy to. Please shoot me a direct message and let's talk about getting you on the show. Let's talk about bringing you on and having a direct interview conversation. What comes out of these conversations? Well, I just told you that I have a virtual assistant company, and they will transcribe everything and turn our conversations into ebooks. And so I can turn you into a published author in a matter of 1 hour of just chatting with me on one of these live hours. So I'll be showing that to Taylor as we will be transcribing our stuff from yesterday and a few other things. So pretty cool, pretty awesome. I'm just really pumped and excited. There's some really cool things going on. And as we're just under 10 minutes into this, we'll do some shout outs. Taylor Douglas is in the house. She says hello, and she's laughing at the RBF. Yeah. If you go back and look at all the thumbnails of my videos, it's like the first second of the video, and I'm like this. And it's like, wow, that doesn't look inviting. So I need to go back and fix those thumbnails. But I also want people to know that I am happy. I want to be here. And this is for you. Okay. I do this for you and I do this for me because I love it. Again, allergy season. If it looks like I'm touching my face and you guys are like, oh, don't touch your face, I'm sorry. I could actually just do this, right? There we go. I'll have a reusable tissue, right, available for me. So you guys, this has been so fun. But I was actually having a private conversation with Taylor Douglas the other day and a few other individuals in my network. And we were talking about what causes people to build fast relationships. And I've learned that you can skip the relationship part and you can jump right into partnerships. And there's a reason why I say that. And it's not to overstep or leave behind or cut to the chase or, get out of traditional relationship building. Here, I'm going to use that tissue again. I have got the greatest tickle right now. Ooh, there we go. And what it is doing is that it allows you to put aside the unnecessary things in building relationships. And what a lot of people get hung up on is when they build a relationship, they feel like they have to tell their story. They feel like they have to tell every single dark secret. They feel like they have to tell everybody about where they came from. And I believe that there's a place for that. I honestly love hearing people's stories. I love hearing where people come from. I love hearing what people have experienced. And it's just insane, right? It's absolutely insane how we still tolerate that that's the way we communicate. Look, your story is important to you because that was your upbringing and that was you, but there's a place and a stage for that. When you're trying to build a progressive relationship that leads to partnership, that leads to progress, that leads to prosperity, that leads to something in the future, why wouldn't you lead with what the future entails? Why wouldn't you lead with what the future looks like? Right? I tell this story a lot, but I was at a conference and met a lady and we just got to talking. She was using a nonprofit. Wow, this is just awesome today. She was using a nonprofit to have access to the world so that she could travel and do a bunch of stuff. And I started talking to her about the Philippines, and then bada bing, bada boom, she connected me with a friend of hers in the Philippines who's looking to develop land so that they could create some sort of profitable business. And I had like 6 or 7 profitable business ideas based in the Philippines. And so totally just made that connection, but it wouldn't have happened if we would have talked about like where we were coming from, what our background was, our products and our services. But what we were talking about is, well, what are you working towards? Like, what do you want to do? And she was telling me how, she works with nonprofits so that she has access to fly around the world all the time. And I was like, that is so cool. Like, I want to be able to do nonprofit work simultaneous to my for-profit work all over the world as well. And that's what led to, well, you want an opportunity right now. And one thing led to another. And here we are. There's some cool stuff in the development and the works. But all of that said, never would have happened, honestly, if we would have focused on the past instead of focusing on the future. I often lead conversations with people and ask them, so what's your vision? Like, what are your dreams? What are you working towards? That is more interesting to me than anything else, because your dreams and your visions say a lot more about you and what you're willing to do than anything else. Your past doesn't, it does say a lot about you, but I don't want to dwell on what you've done, because I've made more mistakes than had successes. I've failed a lot of things more than I've won. I've missed out on a lot of things. I've said the wrong things. I've done things, and it's not always bad. It's good too. But when I focus on the past, we can't move forward. When we focus on the future, all of a sudden we can't move fast enough. And that's why I have that conversation with people. Taylor Douglas comments and she said, I totally lead with that. I never thought of that. It's important. I think it's great. She says, I tell my dark secrets, but I'm far more interested in what you're committed to in the world. I 100% agree. It's so important to talk to people about what they're moving. So today's discussion is activities that will cause you to build prosperous partnerships or friendships or connections, right? And I'll lead off with a few ideas. So Amplified Minds, we used to hold a free event called the Profit Mastermind. This was an event and had many, many purposes, but one of its purposes was to help us understand what activities led people to build fast relationships. And because of that, we played around a lot. We'd get into a room and we'd introduce ourselves, what we're up to, and then randomly we would just get up and put people into teams and have them compete without hesitation, without any restrictions. Just get them into teams and you're going to compete. And we'd compete doing anything from building pyramids, human pyramids, to card towers and card mansions with the materials that they brought with them. We would jump into various games like laser tag or Nerf gun wars, or just things that just were activity based, fun, things that you could laugh at, things that you could get competitive in, but things that you could also just like really have a good time and shoot the breeze with. And that's when people pull off their masks, forget about their pasts, and all they care about is what's right in front of them, the future, the road ahead. And then as people work together in that atmosphere, they eliminate the need to talk about their pasts, to talk about their background. If you've ever started a conversation where you say, well, let me tell you a little bit of a backstory so that you can understand. And the truth is you say that because you do not know how to explain what you're creating or what you're sharing enough to not share the past or the background. You don't need context or background if you know how to clearly communicate what you're working towards. And people care so much more about that and relate to that than anything else. Yes, human nature loves stories. We love the hero's journey and talking about the advocate and the things that go into a drama, right? We love that stuff. But there's a time and a place for it, right? If I'm on stage, I'm going to use stories to connect with my audience before we get to the point. But at the same time, it's more important to tell people where we're moving, where we're going. And that's something you want to lead with so that it makes contextual sense. So as we continue to do these activities, we started to see relationships skyrocket. Okay. We jump into these minute to win it games or just these silly little games or competitions that would get these random strangers who had never met each other, not even knowing their names, laughing and having a good time. And then as they sit down after the activity and we award some winners and just have some fun, they don't even need to know each other's names, what they do. Now they're ready to collaborate. Now their mindset is a place where they can create a relationship by sharing the future, sharing what's possible, sharing where they're headed. And then we would jump into our masterminds, and we learned that was the best combo to build relationships. So what does this mean for you and the people you're meeting at networking events, or the people you're meeting online, or the people that you're connecting with? There are so many things that you can do to connect that will actually add and drive value. And the way that you do that is you find fun and creative ways to connect with people that seems natural and great and fun for you, but that doesn't put someone in an awkward position. Know your audience. If you're at lunch with somebody and they're in a dress and high heels, you definitely don't want to, race across the yard or the lawn, right? You want to stick to something a little bit more personal or a little bit more intimate or close, or something that doesn't require as much moving around. Okay. You want to do activities that are going to make their mind open up and think about the future. One of my favorite things to do is, and I've been proven wrong, but I used to jump into conversations and say, hey, I want to know so much about you, but I want to know where you're headed. Let's play 21 questions here for a second and tell me a little bit about your dreams and where you're headed. Like, what is making you drive? And that person would just go off. And instead of giving me contextual background, they're giving me contextual future. They're giving me contextual forward and progressive thinking rather than where they came from in their upbringing. And I have to get used to, or I have to stop saying that on the air when I interview people, is tell me a little bit about yourself and your background, because that just invites the open opportunity for you to talk about things that just, I mean, they matter and they're part of your story. And if you emphasize that, then there's a place for it, but there's just so much more available. So I want to take a minute before we dive into a list or a section of activities that I've created and want to talk to you about, and then also brainstorm. But as you've jumped in, I see several people of you are watching, and some of you have engaged. Please say hello in the comments section. I'd love to see and just hear from you. This is a live stream, so when you post or comment in any one of the channels that I'm streaming to, I can see it on one screen. So please just say hello. Taylor Douglas already said hello, and I appreciate those who comment. And here's the thing that this show's about you. I'm here to answer your questions. I'm here to talk to you about you and what you need. And so as I ramble on, it's because I've prepared some content, but honestly, what questions do you have about building relationships? Hey, Willie, thanks for saying hello. I know you're probably strapped with a baby and family and stuff, but it's just great to see it. Matt Gibbons is in the house. So Willie's here. Matt Gibbons. Awesome, dude. Awesome. Appreciate you guys. And if you want, if this is information you think you should connect other people with, tag them, say hello, or just let people know, or even just share this post. I would appreciate that. One thing that I wanted to mention, and I just couldn't get it off my mind. I'm just going to play a short video here on my phone that I think is fascinating, but I recorded a video from my screen of the Facebook app. And oftentimes on these videos, I can't see who is watching. I can't see who is viewing anything on any post or any video when I just post the video, right? I can see the analytics and I can see how many people I reached. I can see engagement. The only time I can tell if someone is participating is if they like or react to the actual video, or they actually post a comment. But I don't want you to underestimate the power of stories. This is the screen that comes on your phone on the mobile app. There's a version on this on desktop too, but you can go and look at each of the posts you put on your story, and it shows you every single individual who watched that story. And in this little short video, as I'm scrolling through, I'm going through each post and I'm looking at who is looking at each post. There's a lot of similar people. And it's funny because it's like the same 10 people were throughout all of them. But then there was randomly like people who made it to the last one and then people who didn't make it to the first one. Like it was like, oh, how did people miss the first one? It takes you through that series. It's a story, but that's one thing I don't understand. But anyways, that's the video. And I don't want you to underestimate the power of stories. Look at all these people who view my story. That was such a boastful comment. What I meant by that is look at all these people who care about you but don't necessarily feel the need to react or commit or connect. And it reminded me of a principle, which is, make sure that you're communicating with everybody and connecting even at this level. Okay. There's so many places for us to remember. That's why I talk about having a communication strategy for your connections. And that's actually a lot where I've been branding myself. It's a lot where a champion circle has been leading the content is how are you branding yourself to communicate? We talked for 2 hours. Oh, somebody's calling me. Check that out. Isn't that embarrassing? Okay. It's so embarrassing for me because it's like, I get so many random calls, but anywho, you guys have a strategy on how you connect with people. If you're just going to connect with people willy-nilly, Willie, I used your name. And if you're just going to go at it with no intention, you're missing out on everything that comes out of building intentional relationships. And I love, love, love this topic. Absolutely love this topic. One of my favorite books, I'm going to pull this up here. One of my favorite books is Captivate. It's a national bestseller, and it's by my good friend, Vanessa Van Edwards. She is phenomenal. Okay. She talks a lot about communication. She talks a lot about, appearance and so forth and social media and stuff like that. But captivate is fascinating because everyone's been given the lecture of, body language speaks louder than words. And I agree with that. My body language right now is I'm upright in my chair. I'm face forward to you. Sometimes I'm swirling, right? I've got the nervous tics like every speaker does. I'm shifting. I'm looking at the screen. I'm looking at you guys. Okay. But body language speaks so loudly, and your unpresent language speaks too. If you guys are just posting things that are irrelevant to what your listeners and watchers and audience members don't care about, then that speaks dividends because you don't care about them, or you're not thinking about them. So I don't want to freak you out, but if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a strategy, then you shouldn't be on at all, right? Make sure that silence becomes your strategy if that's the case. There are people in my life who I've been wondering where they're at in this world, and they've disappeared off the face of the earth. And I go and I research and find them, and I realize that they've gone into hiding because they recognize that if they go online, they'll have to portray themselves in a way, and they don't know how to do that. And I don't want to freak anyone out. That's not what this is about. But what it is about is make sure you have a strategy. And I didn't realize how many people cared about what I posted. I get twice as many, maybe even 3 times as many views on my story than I do on my actual posts, which is something I need to improve, right? I need to improve engagement on my posts. And Taylor and I were talking about how I need to do that, how my profile needs to be more inviting. And I'm working on that too a little bit today as I follow up and finish up some of the tasks I've neglected over the weekend. But there's so many different things that you could be doing to improve. So I just want to leave that there. But again, the show is up for you guys. What questions do you have? Willie Blake says, if you couldn't explain more, why not give snippets of what you've been through to tell why you're going and why, where you're going and why? Okay, Willie, so don't misinterpret. Snippets are great. Snippets are awesome. But don't start a conversation with where you've come from, right? If I were Willie Blake, I would start every conversation with, "Hey, my name's Willie Blake, and my dream is to become the next Tony Robbins, and this is what I'm doing to get there, and here's where I've come from." You see the progression of that? This is a really good point. I think we should touch on a whiteboard, right? I'm going to get my whiteboard. Okay. And I'm going to use my germ-infested tissue. Okay, this is a good point and a good lesson to learn. All right, not a good cleaning job. That marker stuck, but that's okay. Anyone ate OCD, this will drive you nuts. Okay, so when you lead conversations, right? Conversations. You want to start first with vision, future, path, right? Vision, future, and path. And then you can lead into number 2, which is present, performance, and we'll just leave that for that, okay? But where that ends up leading is more explanation and context to number 3, which is the past, right? Let me tell what is one of the most boring stories of all time. And I actually roll my eyes when I watch movies, and that's just me, you guys. I know that some of you have alternating opinions, and that's awesome, right? But when you have a movie, right, and it starts with the past, and then it goes to the present, and then you move to the future, we can oftentimes predict the outcome, right? We can oftentimes just know where this is going. A lot of times what a movie will do, and these are the good ones, is they'll skip ahead to the future and they'll give you a glimpse of that. And then they'll move to the present where the person's in the path. And then the things that have caused them to get there, they're going to have flashbacks to the past, things that allowed them to get there. Does that make sense? So in a movie or an audio or a visual context, some of the best, highest producing movies and some of the best producing visuals start with the future, giving you a taste and a glimpse. For example, storytelling. When I jump to that moment when I'm sitting there in a cave and I'm stuck, dirt's being kicked in my face, I can't move my body, I'm in utter darkness, and how did I get here? Well, let's move back for a second. Here I am walking into a cave, and in this cave, I'm going spelunking with a group of scouts, and in this cave, we plan to pass through what's called the wormhole. The wormhole is where we were in. That's where I was stuck. We're heading back in that direction. The wormhole is a tube 30 feet long that you have to stick one arm forward and one arm back, and you wiggle like a worm through to get to the big cavern on the other side, right? So I've taken you to the glimpse. I've gone through the present, and then let's take a pass. I've always wanted to do this. I've always wanted to go caving and spelunking. I've wanted to do this since I was a kid because I've just heard of the incredible depths of the earth that no one gets to see. And I've done everything from gymnastics to weightlifting to specific activities that has prepared me my entire life to get here. And then now we flash back to the future, which is I have to pass through this tube that is like, it's causing me to get stuck. It's causing panic and anxiety to reach the end goal, which is to enter the big grand cavern. And so that's kind of an example of this story progression. So when you build conversations with people, when you have conversations that lead to, hey, I'd like to hang out with you more. Hey, I'd like to do business with you. Hey, I'd like to get to know you better. I'd like to build a relationship that hopefully leads to something more. Partnership type discussions always start with the vision and the path. Okay. I love talking about the days that we're all going to be rich and famous and sitting on our front yards, drinking the Kool-Aid and hanging out and watching the kids play around. I love looking to the future and seeing that and playing that in my mind because it will happen. And then taking myself to the present. And here's where I'm at. Okay. I've got a long ways to go, but there's some really cool things that I'm working on. In fact, if I go back to the future and I talk about that, there's some things that I absolutely must work towards because that's what I'm working towards. And then as a result of all that, here I'm at right now with where we're going. This is where we're going to find our common ground. Okay. And then back here is what's going to bring extra context as needed. So to address your question, Willie, why not give snippets of what you've been through? You do. You absolutely do. But you never lead with what you've been through. Okay. The worst thing ever is when you go on a date with somebody, and this is for all you single people and for you married people or you non-single people. Okay. This is the worst. Go on a date and immediately and that person immediately starts to talk about, their illnesses and what they were born, what conditions they were born with and their ailments and, negatives, just things about the past, like whether they're positive or like I was born with, the highest IQ in the world. Like that would be an interesting thing, but why not better start out with saying, hey, I plan to be the smartest person in the world. Why? Well, let me tell you about where I'm at right now. I'm in a genius school. I'm doing all kinds of things, but actually where all this comes from is I was born with the highest IQ in the world, right? That would be an example of it. That's far more interesting and leads to conversations that build relationships of partnership than anyone else. And I learned this as we hosted our Amplified Minds masterminds, our profit masterminds, and some of our high-level masterminds, that we would bring people into conversation about the future, okay? But the way we got here was we had various activities. So I hope this makes sense. I'm going to put this right here, blasphemy, in front of Mr. Napoleon Hill. But there's a good example for you, and I hope that makes sense, and you follow that progression. Okay. If you agree with that, let me know. If you disagree with that, tell me, because that's awesome. I love people who disagree. So this is perfect. Great comment. So let's talk about some activities, you guys. Last year I tested the waters and I joined like way too many circles of influence to learn this process of building partnership relationships. And I will admit, I joined an executive networking golf league. Yeah, there are those out there. You should join one. TJ Menlove knows about one that he's starting right now. I'm the one that I was in. I don't know if it's going to continue. One of the owners is suffering from some cancer right now. And so I don't know if they're going to continue it, but there are groups out there that you can research and look into. But I was in an executive networking golf league. We played once a week, every week for 20 weeks straight. And in these groups, we were paired up with a random foursome, and we would go off, tee off, play 9 holes, and we'd have various activities we'd do during them and stuff like that. But it was just so natural to get out on the golf course and play. Now, let's just talk about this, because not everyone listening relates with golf, and I love that. Okay, what are the alternatives? What are the comparables? What are the complements to golf in your world? Let's talk about that. What are the complements to golf in your world? It may be a sport or activity. I really love playing tennis with people. I am so bad at tennis or pickleball, right? But I love those sports. I love those games. You can have conversations between it. You can have some fun. Okay. You really have a good time. There's some strategy, blah, blah, blah. I love chess, Chinese checkers. I love board games. I love those things. Let's talk about other recreational activities. A fun one is, just going on a walk, like really, really simple things. One of my favorite stories is I was reading, let me find the book here. Okay. Even though this man has a God complex, I love and adore his knowledge immensely. But Howard Schultz wrote the book Onward, okay, about the story and journey of Starbucks, right? And in this story, he talks about the countless times as when they were going through bankruptcy, as they were going through some of the hardest times, how he and his business partners, he and his trusted advisors would jump on on their road bikes, and they would go bicycling through Seattle. They'd go get on a track, they'd cycle through, they'd go down to the walks, the boardwalks, and they'd cycle through, and they would get on the bikes and exercise while they talked things out. And many of you are like, wow, speed biking? No, it was casual, it was good, but they were always out there talking and collaborating. And that's how he was able to communicate and overcome 2008 as a result of the second Great Depression, I guess we'll call it. Okay, the financial depression. So I love that story because that's an incredible example of recreational things that you can do to strengthen your relationships, strengthen your connections. Okay, let's talk about a few more, and then let's talk about what you can do amidst COVID-19, right? Because obviously we can't go out and see each other. Golfing has been approved, so I'm still saying golfing is ultimate, but not everyone's allowed, or not everyone's interested in golfing. So what other activities are complements to golfing? I would say painting. Painting expresses such, in a creative side to the human nature and the human brain. Have you ever decided to, and I've done this only once, and it was one of my favorite communication tactics, but I met up with someone at a coffee shop where they painted, and I bought us some canvases and I gave us some colors. We put on aprons, and I said, all right, here's some coffee, and let's paint together, right? Painting is one of the coolest ways for you to express and to share an art. And whether you're a good painter or not, I'm awful, but you can give your painting a name. You can give each other some stuff. First of all, I want to shout out to my friend Sienna Bustillo. Sienna, you are awesome. I love your videos. I love your content. You're amazing. And she said piano. Piano is a compliment to, or I'll just leave that up here. Piano is a compliment to golf, right? It's a compliment to recreational stuff, how people can connect. Now, I will say one thing about piano is if both people know and play and love and appreciate piano, it's not one-sided, right? One person can play, two people can play, people can admire and adore that. But if it's one person and then the other has nothing to do with it, right, then it could be one-sided. So just keep in mind that when you do activities that strengthen your relationship with others, that it needs to be something that you both engage in. And piano is one of those magical, everyone watches the romantic stories of the couple sitting down at the thing and then they play a little song. Anyone can play chopsticks together. And if you can play chopsticks together, you can build a business together, right? But anyone can teach somebody to push one key while the other person goes to town. So Sienna is a really great example that she's a master pianist, and you guys should go follow her and watch her. She's got some really cool videos, and I love every time, even like the when you're up at 2 a.m. First of all, who are your neighbors and do they hate you? Because I love the 2 a.m. or the midnight plays that you do. It's so awesome. It's so incredible. So appreciate you, Sienna. You're awesome. Matt Gibbons posted a few hiking, bowling, cooking classes. So before COVID-19 struck, we actually planned to do an executive networking cooking class where we were going to bring a bunch of professionals down to the Culinary Art Institute, and we were going to put you into random teams just like we do at our masterminds. And then we were going to send you into a cooking competition with all the other teams, and you guys were going to bake the best flavored wings. I know, right? Doesn't that sound amazing? And it got canceled due to COVID-19 and the health concerns and so forth. But that would be something that would be worth every dime to me, is to have a networking group where you build relationships with your teams. And then as you test everyone else's products, you get to connect with people on a very, very cool and creative and collaborative level. So I think that's a super good idea. Hiking is a great one. One of my friends 2 years ago, she was visiting because she was interning with a company in Salt Lake City. And after work, I would oftentimes meet up with her, and we'd go up the canyon and go hiking and just chat and just like get things out of the way and talk about the future. And it was so beneficial. Today I have like the closest friendship with that person, and we continue. And she's one of those people who I'm like, the second I have buying capital, I'm going to recruit that person so hard to move back to Utah and come work for us, because I need her expertise. But it's one of those things where relationships are built through the elevation of heart rate and activity and recreation. Bowling's awesome. I think bowling is a really great way. Think of it as this, guys. We keep going in this like double date scenario. Bowling and going out, hanging out, doing stuff is so fun. Sienna says music and yoga. My neighbors are thankful for my digital piano with headphones. Nice. My wife just bought a what do you call that? It's an acoustic cello. It plugs into an amp or headphones, and you can play it, you can hear it, but it's very, very silent or very quiet. And I think our neighbors appreciate that too, because she loves to play the violin, the cello, and that's one thing she loves. So I appreciate that. Taylor says, I love to get food. I love to be in nature. I love to drive around. I love to just have a conversation. I love to just sing and dance randomly. So I want to touch on each of those before we move on to the next topic, which is how do you do all of these amidst COVID-19, right? And we'll talk about that in a minute, because there are tenfold the number of ideas and options that I think we should talk about that will actually get you into a great scenario and a great relationship. Okay. So first of all, getting food. 100%. Food is my favorite activity, because food ignites several of the body senses: taste, sound, smell, touch, right? And all of those things combined with a conversation, we oftentimes overlook it, but I don't have the book on my desk, but Never Eat Alone. Never Eat Alone. I think it's like Don't Eat Your Lunch Alone or Never Eat Alone. Fantastic book. Talks about the exact science behind this. Okay. But never eat alone, you guys. Always have food with other people. Food is a great place. Now I'll take that one step further, cooking food with other people. When I was dating, my favorite thing to do is invite people over and just get to know them by cooking, giving them a recipe, which by the way, I don't follow recipes. So, That's always a good one. I love to be in nature. Nature's awesome. Even just going to a park. I know Hollywood has really, like, in my opinion, bastardized the meet in the park scenario for businesses. Like, it looks like some sketchy meeting, right? And a lot of things do happen in parks and open in public, but kind of away from people's eyes. But I love meeting people in public. Oftentimes, if you meet me at a park, there will be a spike ball already set up, or I'll bring my bocce ball set with me, or some croquet, and I usually just set it up, and then you and I just chat over that. That's super fun. But yeah, nature and being outside is so great. I've never done it before, but I've always wanted to meet people at the gardens over at Thanksgiving Point, because I just think it's cool to admire. To me, gardens are like art, right? They're a particular type of art that you grow. So that's pretty cool. Driving around, going for drives has been great. I've had mixed experiences, but that's just my personal testimonial. And it was definitely the company I was with, not as an organization, but as in the person's company, their presence. But yeah, oftentimes there's great things to go on drives or to go see things, like sightseeing and whatever. That's always good. And that's just a double. Like, if there's a list of things you want to get done and you can't do it because work, well, incorporate what you want to get done with the people who you want to meet. Boom. I just nailed. Your year is going to be so much more complete when you do that. Okay. Having conversations, love to sing and dance randomly. One of my favorite things to do, there are local dance studios up here in Heber Valley at the hangar, because we have an airport up here. At the hangar, they'll open it up in the summers and they do like 60s swing dancing and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool stuff. So I appreciate those comments, Taylor. That's right on. Melinda Jepson's in the house, everybody. Melinda, great to see you and hear from you. She said, connections. Yes. Love this. So important. Barbecues, 100%. We're all together in the barbecues. S'mores around the fire. Oh, I love networking around fires. Fires are such a great place. Now, Willie, fires are a great place to tell stories, right? But again, you don't get there until you've talked about your future following that combination. Game nights. Yes. By the way, we are hosting, as soon as COVID-19 is over, weekly or yet monthly game nights for the networking community. That's great. Volleyball in the yard. Yeah. I love badminton, things that you can do in the yard that aren't too hard, but you can still have fun doing. So she said bago, also called cornhole. Oh, okay. Cornhole. There you go. Cornhole's an awesome one. I was actually spending 2 hours outside on Sunday with my brother-in-law, playing cornhole, keeping a social distance, of course, and doing very well. I'm currently getting food. LOL. Okay. Love it. Oh, here we go. I drive around to get food, and then I go to nature and eat my food. That's like a triple combination. Hollywood is awful. Yes, I agree. Frisbee golf. I love Frisbee golf. I've been going every day after work on my own, as well as meeting people at the dog park who I really enjoy speaking with. Okay. Awesome. So let's talk about the other side of this, right? The other side of this is, how do I connect doing activities during COVID-19? Well, video, like, we're in this video communication right now. I'm talking to a screen, but there's like 40 of you on the other side listening and watching and participating. But how do we build these relationships? Well, Taylor nailed it, right? Go grab food and have food while you're watching. Nobody is good on screen eating, right? When you eat in front of a camera, it's embarrassing, but it's the same thing without the camera. So why would you go eat with anyone if you can't eat in front of a camera? Boom. Roasted and busted. Okay. You can eat in front of a screen. It's not pretty. Who cares? Right? Who cares? When my wife and I were dating, she actually lived in Russia. She's not Russian. Don't worry. But I mean, why would you worry? That was not a good comment. I just realized that. But she was teaching abroad in Russia, and I wanted to maintain the relationship. So while she would come home from work, she would get her dinner together and then come to the table. And then I would be waking up in the morning, coming back from the gym, getting my eggs and stuff together, and we would eat our breakfast and dinner together at the same time across from the world. And that was really cool because we got to communicate and eat and have like candlelight dinner breakfasts together at the same time over virtual time. So incorporate some of these activities together. I think it's distracting to have conversations with people when they're doing something that causes them to breathe heavily, like exercise or hiking. Like I oftentimes walk my dogs when I'm on the phone with everyone, and I feel like I'm a distraction to a lot of people because I'm trying to catch my breath, or my dogs run off and I'm like, hey, get over here. It burns the conversation a bit. So I recommend that you connect virtually that involves the senses, right? I have done this where before I meet someone, I send them a copy of one of the books we use. I'll send them one of Matt Fritchie's positivity journals. Here's mine right now, right in front of me. So I'll send them one of Matt's positive journals, and then I'll get the book out and I'll just start flipping through and talking to them about it and like some of the things that I wrote in it and stuff like that. And so that's a fun thing to do. So just think creatively about how to connect virtually. Any other ideas or thoughts or questions you guys have about that, building the relationships that turn into partnerships? There's activities that you can do that do this, and they're everywhere. They're not secrets. They're not new. They're not inventions, right? They're just things that we should have been doing for a very, very long time. Any other thoughts or questions? Please send them in. So if this has resonated with you, if this is something that you really appreciate, you like, please share this. Please let me know in the comments section. I do want this to be a valuable conversation and a valuable content piece for everybody. It's great to see Matt Gibbons here, Taylor Douglas, Melinda Jepson. I'm so glad to hear from you. Sienna Bucio, appreciate you chiming in. It's so great to hear from you. Willie Blake, of course, I'm glad you're here. And several other individuals who have been watching but haven't commented. I appreciate you, and I can't see who you are until I go back and see who's liked or reacted. But again, the power of our communication begins. Let me just reiterate this conversations piece. When you lead conversations with a vision, a future, a path, right? Oh, and Michael Chandler's in the house. Michael, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Please let me know how I can, share more information that helps. But when you're building relationships through conversation, focus about the vision, the future, and the path, right? When you do this, it opens up a level of dialogue that leads to where you're at in the present, and then bring in the context of your past if it's appropriate, if it's necessary, or if it complements the future, right? That's what I would add. Those are three things that I really highly advise you to use when you're building relationships, because these relationships, and here's the proof in the pudding, in the free events that we did for 2 years, we practiced this and we put people in these scenarios and taught them how to do what we teach. And as a result, they transacted between everybody. We approximately helped people raise a little bit more than $20 million in 2 years, just by having conversations, just by playing together, just by having relationships. Here's a good one, and I don't know how well this works. I'm really bad at the meme game. I don't know how to play memes, right? I guess I'm just too literal, and I don't really have memes aren't my sense of humor, but they definitely relate with other people. But if you play meme games with people online, that's awesome. I literally do suggest games, or personality assessments, or things that unite you, that you can talk about, things that bring you together. Another one is on Facebook. They have the various games you can play, pop culture games and stuff. Those are good because that's a great way to connect. And I keep going back to Facebook because it's just such a great platform to connect and build relationships on. As you do that, you can offer up and say, hey, I know we're talking business. I know that we're working together, but here's just a cool thought I had. I'm curious who you are. Which Friends character are you, or which character in SpongeBob would you be? Like that kind of stuff just makes you relatable, and it makes you guys have a really, really good conversation moving forward. So I highly advise that. There are some other games that I really, really appreciate when you meet people in groups. There's one if you guys have ever played Cards Against Humanity, as appropriate or inappropriate as it is, there's one on your apps called Evil Apples. It's just as inappropriate, but it's fun in that context. If that's the relationship you have with people, to go and compete and have fun playing like apples to apples, essentially, is really what it is. But there's meme games. There's all kinds of virtual things you can do. That's why I highly promote Marco Polo. Okay. Marco Polo, because in Marco Polo, it's like at a game where you talk back and forth in video chats and video messages to each other. I'm a big fan of that. The other thing too is like I mentioned, there are assessments. There are things you can do that really drive a great relationship. That include, various activities. I love talking about books. It's one of my favorite things to talk to people about. Quotes, poetry, art, things like that. Okay. And where do you talk about people up on those? Oh, Michael says, hit me up on Evil Apples. That's awesome, dude. I didn't know you had a dark side. Actually, I did, but I didn't know that. So that's really cool. Michael Chandler says, I saw someone try this last week. Not sure how it turned out. Okay. You're probably talking about the meme games, or you're responding to this. What about a group meditation and connect on an energetic level with an intent during the quarantine? So, Matt, let's do that. That sounds awesome. I'm willing to try everything and anything to measure up on the scale of effectiveness and credibility what things actually work best. Because right now, I spent 2 years developing this. How do you build better relationships in person? And then I got to the point where I launched a product called the Champion Circle, and none of us can meet in person. And so now I'm adapting, right? I'm creating an online solution for that. But now it's like, well, how do we create online virtual experiences that lead to these relationships? And I know we won't be in this for 2 years, but I've got to learn fast. And so let's learn together. I'd be happy to jump into a connection, meditation, and connect on energy levels. I thought it was interesting that when COVID struck, Netflix came out with a feature that you can go and watch shows together with people, and then you can comment and stuff. I thought that was funny because I wouldn't watch some of my favorite movies like The Avengers or Jurassic Park, or like anything like that with other people, because I like to watch the movie. But if I want to like sit back and comment and make some commentary and have some fun discussions and blah, 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 crack jokes, ask questions, yada, yada, I'd probably do that with like the Lego movie, which is super funny, hilarious, constant laughs, constant like imitations and hilariousness. I'd probably do it with like a really, really old film, or like a documentary, or maybe even like a horror film, something that would, I don't watch horror films, but just to say it, to relate with you guys. But any one of those ideas were kind of interesting. On Facebook, when you post a video or you want to post a video, you can upload it and then you can start a watch party, and you can do the same thing. So instead of doing what Netflix has provided you, you can go on Facebook, upload your own videos, and then talk about it with people. A great example of this is if you can digitize some of your old home videos and then put those up on Facebook. Not that you would want to, but it's a great place to host things for free. If you were to do that, you could have private rooms, private groups, private chats, and watch parties with those people. That's a pretty cool example. I didn't realize that. That would be kind of fun. Anything that gets you excited or makes it sound fun, that would be awesome. So there's some of my ideas. I hope that helps. I'm trying to think of a few others. I wrote a few down. And then I left that sticky note at my home office. But I was thinking about, oh man, what was it? Well, if you guys have any other comment suggestions, please comment below. I think that's a great idea, Matt, that you came up with. I'd be happy to join in. One of the things is I shared yesterday on the call, and then you texted me this morning, is who's the lady you follow on YouTube that does yoga with Adriene? I think it'd be kind of fun to live stream a yoga with Adriene, but then while she's guiding the meditation, we all try it at home. And I mean, nothing's better than doing yoga with a bunch of amateurs. Like, there's so much commentary. There's so many fun, like, comments. Every now and then you hear someone go, and you hear that and you're like, oh, but it is great to connect with people on a spiritual, energetic level. And I think that's really cool. I think that's a really great idea. So we could talk about ideas all day. I'm a little over my time, but I wanted to share that with you today. Today was a conversation for you and about you. Let me know how I can help you. These live hours are extremely fun for me and I really, really enjoy them, but I don't want to be ineffective. I want to provide answers and solutions and opportunities that get you what you need. Every week I host a private session. If you haven't been to one or haven't attended one yet, I host a private session where I do a private training. You should attend one. I had planned on doing one tomorrow, but I plan to postpone that. There's a few things that came up and I'd rather just do my live hour, but I'm going to build it up for next week. The reason why is I'm supporting a lot of people in a lot of roles right now. And what I'd like to do is have an opportunity to be in my role. So as I do that, I want to share with you guys the opportunity to engage with me on this. And as I open up the live hours, I might start doing these 3 times a day. I know, crazy me, right? But everything's going to have an intention, a direction. And as my VAs kick in and start creating a lot more content based on what we've talked about, I'll have a lot more things to give away, a lot more things to share with you, and a lot more things to do. A friend of mine watching this right now, they reached out to me the other day and I realized that I neglected to share some information with them that I've been telling them that I would for weeks now. And so it's important that I continue to stay up to date on the things that I promise online. I shared a bunch of ebooks. I've shared a bunch of other files and things that I'd love for us to connect on. But all in all, there's some really good stuff. By the way, Taylor Douglas, sometimes she hosts a networking lunch. If she's still doing those, you should hit her up on that because those sound really, really cool. I love networking lunches via Zoom or via live stream. Those are awesome. So there's some ideas for you today, everybody. My name is Jon Kovach. It's been an awesome, awesome hour to just chat. I do appreciate the conversation. So thank you for engaging with me. Michael, I probably will hit you up on Evil Apples. That's such a fun app. Dark Side. Yes, dude. I love the Dark Side. And Matt Gibbons, thanks for your comments. Taylor, thanks for all you said. And appreciate you guys. But this is a great opportunity. I'm going to go eat my lunch. I should have eaten it in front of you, but I just realized it kind of looks nasty. But here, I made some this is egg and what do you call that? Yams, a sweet potato. But the one thing that looked gross is, look at that. That looks like it doesn't look good. That's my guacamole. I had it sitting in a heat box and my guacamole turned dark green and it does not look good. So, but it's going to taste awesome. So there you guys go. I just shared with you my lunch. I shared with you my stories. I shared with you my path to success and building relationships by conversation. Okay. And go check out the comments section. Also subscribe. And any of the offers I've made in any of my previous videos, please go back and watch those. And if you do want to participate in any of them, comment and we'll be getting into this. The reason why I might go live 2 or 3 times a day starting soon is because I want to capture people at different times of the day. And the other reason is we're going to have a lot more content that we can give away. One of my favorite podcasts right now gives away something daily. And that's my goal. That's my goal, is to give you gifts every day. That would help me live the life that I want to live. So there you go, guys. Appreciate you. Have a great day and we'll see you tomorrow.